She went to 2 rehabs. The last one, I put her in against her will, and she hated me for it. I said, no, this really is. I got your letter today, and we're thinking about coming to see you tonight in the contest. Are you happy with what you're doing?
For 11 seasons and nearly 280 episodes, The Carol Burnett Show wasn't just television. It was a national treasure, a weekly appointment with joy. It was a sanctuary of laughter, presided over by the endlessly charming, rubber-faced genius, Carol Burnett. On-screen, Carol and her ensemble cast, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Lyle Waggoner, and later Tim Conway, were the picture of a perfect TV family. Their chemistry was electric, their camaraderie infectious. The bloopers, that genuine, uncontrollable laughter that often broke through the sketches, weren't just mistakes. They were proof of the magic they created together. It felt real, because to the millions watching at home, it was. But behind all, those belly laughs, was everything really so perfect? What if, away from the bright studio lights and adoring audience, a different story was unfolding? A story of tension, frustration, and a conflict so severe it pushed the unflappable Carol Burnett to her breaking point. That perfect image of a comedy family sometimes masked a brewing storm. One co-star's behavior became so difficult that it threatened to unravel the very fabric of the show. In this video, we'll count down the potential suspects, the co-stars, who shared the stage with Carol before revealing the one person whose shocking actions led to a dramatic, almost unheard-of on-set firing. You may think you know the whole story from the famous outtakes, but the truth is far more complex than any sketch they ever performed. For 11 seasons, The Carol Burnett Show was the pinnacle of television comedy, a place where it seemed the laughter never stopped. On screen, Carol Burnett and her cast were a tight-knit family. But behind the curtain, a feud with one co-star was brewing, pushing the legendary comedian to her breaking point. In this video, we'll count down the potential co-stars who might have clashed with Carol, before revealing the one person whose behavior was so shocking, it led to a dramatic on-set firing. You may think you know the whole story, but the truth is far more dramatic than any sketch they ever performed. Our countdown of potential suspects begins with the most unlikely candidate, the one person who owed her entire career to Carol Burnett, Vicki Lawrence. The story of their meeting is Hollywood legend. A young Vicki, still in high school, was told she looked strikingly like the famous comedian. Taking a leap of faith, she wrote a fan letter to Carol, including a photo and mentioning she was in the Miss Fireball contest in her hometown. In a move that says everything about her character, Carol Burnett, already a major star, found Vicki's father in the phone book, called, and promised to attend the contest. She did, and when Vicki won, Carol was the one to crown her. This was the beginning of one of television's great mentorships. CBS executives were skeptical about hiring an 18-year-old with no experience, but Carol fought for her, insisting Vicki play her younger sister in the Carol and Sis sketches. For the next 11 years, Vicki Lawrence learned at the feet of the masters, often calling the show her Harvard School of Comedy, with Carol and Harvey Korman as her tutors. Carol wasn't just her boss. She was her mentor, champion, and a close friend. So where could a feud possibly come from? As Vicki grew from a teenager into a seasoned performer, the dynamic shifted. The biggest change came with the family sketches, where Carol played the stressed-out Eunice and Vicki played her cantankerous mother, Thelma Harper, or Mama. Ironically, despite being 16 years younger than Carol, Vicki's portrayal of the matriarch was so hilarious that it became a breakout hit. The Mama character eventually got her own spin-off, Mama's Family. This is where the first documented cracks in their relationship appeared. The spin-off was produced by Carol's then-husband, Joe Hamilton, but Carol chose not to be a regular, having reservations about the show's direction. During this period, Carol was also navigating a painful divorce from Hamilton. Vicki Lawrence later recalled that the divorce created a chasm between them, feeling as though Carol had divorced all of us associated with her ex-husband. The distance was hurtful. According to an interview Lawrence gave the New York Post, she recalled a painful memory when Carol called her home during the early run of Mama's Family. Her son answered, and when Vicky asked who it was, he said, "It's Carol." When Vicky asked if Carol wanted to speak to her, her son replied, "No, she wants to talk to Dad." It was a clear sign of the strain between the two women. There was also the ever-present issue of money. As Lawrence recalled in later interviews, early in her tenure she asked for a salary equal to her male co-star, Lyle Waggoner, but was told Waggoner had a family to support. While Lawrence accepted it as a sign of the times, it's easy to see how such disparities could breed resentment. Thankfully, the story of Carol and Vicky has a happy ending. Vicky has shared that Carol eventually came back into her life, and when she did, she was fully back. In recent years, they have spoken of their friendship being closer than ever. But the period of estrangement was real and deeply felt. While Vicky wasn't fired, the emotional rift was significant, making her a plausible, albeit incorrect, suspect in our search. Our second suspect is the man who was, for 7 seasons, the show's handsome, reliable straight man, Lyle Waggoner. Fresh off of narrowly losing the role of Batman to Adam West, Waggoner was hired for Carol's new Variety Hour as both a sketch performer and the show's announcer. On screen, he was the perfect foil, dashing, charming, and a steady anchor against the comedic chaos of Carol, Harvey, and Vicky. He was an essential piece of the original ensemble. But behind the easy smile, Waggoner was growing frustrated. His role was limited. In an interview, he was candid about why he left the show in 1974. "I really enjoyed working on the Carol Burnett show," he said, before landing the punchline. "But I had to leave for reasons of illness and fatigue. I got sick and tired of it." This wasn't just a quip, it was a summary of deep artistic dissatisfaction. He explained, "My part was very limited, and it was frustrating as an artist because I really had no place to go. The producers, it seemed, wanted to keep him in a specific box. They were hesitant to put me in character roles," he explained. While the others got to play a huge range of characters, Waggoner was often left playing, well, Lyle Waggoner. For an ambitious actor, it started to feel like a gilded cage. His departure in 1974 was a big deal for the show, opening the door for Tim Conway to become a full-time cast member. But was the exit as friendly as it seemed? Leaving a hit show is a massive gamble, a declaration that artistic fulfillment is more important than a steady paycheck. Could this ambition have created friction? It's easy to imagine scenarios where his frustration might have boiled over. Did he lobby for more versatile roles and get shut down? In the high-pressure environment of a weekly show, an actor's dissatisfaction can be a disruptive force. Plus, during his time on the show, he famously posed for a semi-nude centerfold in the first issue of Playgirl in 1973. While it might seem trivial today, that was a headline-grabbing move for the star of a family-friendly variety show. Could such a bold decision have caused a rift with the show's more traditional leadership? That's pure speculation, but it adds to the picture. After leaving, Waggoner did land the role of Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman. But his biggest success came from a shrewd business idea. He founded Star Wagons, a company that provides luxury trailers to film and TV productions, which became incredibly lucrative. While there's no record of a major blow-up, Lyle Waggoner's departure wasn't just a quiet exit. It was the result of years of artistic frustration. This divergence of goals, Carol wanting the best ensemble show, Lyle wanting a bigger individual career, makes him a compelling suspect, but ultimately not the one who was fired. We've looked at the protege who grew distant and the straight man who grew frustrated. That leaves one prime suspect left in our countdown before the final reveal. But before we get to the man who made everyone, including the crew, break down in laughter, let us know in the comments who you think it is. Was it the master of improvisation himself? And if you're enjoying this deep dive into classic TV history, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If one person embodied the joyful chaos of The Carol Burnett Show, it was Tim Conway. After a series of hilarious guest spots, he officially joined the cast in 1975, and the show was never the same. Conway was a comedic anarchist whose main mission seemed to be making his scene partners, especially his dear friend Harvey Korman, completely lose it on live television. His antics are legendary. There was the dentist sketch, where his fumbling, self-injecting, Novocaine-numbed dentist reduced Harvey Korman to a helpless puddle of laughter. Then there's the famous elephant story from A Family Sketch, where Conway went on a long, unscripted tangent so bizarre that the entire cast fought to hold back tears of laughter. According to TV lore, Vicki Lawrence finally broke the tension, with the ad-libbed question, "Are you sure that little a-hole is through?" causing Conway himself to finally crack. These moments were television gold. But in the highly structured world of television production, could this genius for chaos have also been a source of frustration? Professionalism usually means sticking to the script. Conway threw a grenade into that process every week. Carol herself said of his methods, he would do stuff that he hadn't done in rehearsal. Tim was merciless. While she said it with a laugh, one has to wonder if it was always funny. Imagine being the producer of a major network show, and one of your key players regularly goes off book, risking carefully timed jokes for a laugh that wasn't on the page. It's a tightrope walk between genius and unprofessionalism. For every time a Conway ad-lib created an iconic moment, were there times it simply threw a sketch into disarray? Did his improvisations ever ruin another actor's joke? Comedy is a team sport, but Conway often seemed to be playing his own brilliant game. His goal wasn't just to make the audience laugh, it was to make his co-stars laugh. It was a unique and risky brand of performance. Ultimately, the friendship between Carol Burnett and Tim Conway was deep and genuine. When he passed away in 2019, her tribute was heartfelt. He was one in a million, not only as a brilliant comedian, but as a loving human being. I cherish the times we had together both on the screen and off. He'll be in my heart forever. This doesn't sound like a woman holding a decades-long grudge. His chaos was an asset, not a liability. He pushed boundaries, but he never crossed the line into the kind of behavior that would get him fired. And that brings us to the person who did. After eliminating the prodigy, the straight man, and the prankster, we're left with the final and correct suspect, the brilliant, versatile, and sometimes difficult Harvey Korman. For 10 seasons, Korman was Carol's main comedic partner. He was a genius of characters, and his on-screen chemistry with Carol was the bedrock of the show. But behind the scenes, particularly during the show's 7th season, a darker mood began to emerge. He could be irritable and difficult. Carol herself acknowledged this in her memoir, saying that Korman could sometimes be in a mood. For the most part, she brushed it off. But there was one line that couldn't be crossed, and during one fateful week of rehearsals, Harvey Korman crossed it. The guests that week were singer Petula Clark and a not-yet-regular Tim Conway. According to Burnett's 2016 memoir, In Such Good Company, Korman was in a foul mood from the start, scowling at everyone and at one point being overtly rude to both, Conway and Clark. His behavior was so bad that it began to affect Carol's own performance during taping. As the boss, she knew she had to do something. Though not confrontational by nature, Carol went to Korman's dressing room after the rehearsal. His response was hostile, telling her to mind her own business. Carol stood her ground, retorting that the behavior of her cast towards her guest stars was absolutely her business. Korman escalated, saying he'd just as soon go home and never come back. He then backed her out of his dressing room and slammed the door in her face. Stunned and furious, Carol went straight to a phone and called Harvey Korman's agent, informing him that his client would no longer be working on the show. She then marched back to Korman's dressing room. "Well, you got your wish," she told him, explaining that his rudeness was unacceptable. "I can't work like that," she said. "So if you want off, you're free to go." The reality hit Korman like a ton of bricks. The defiant man was suddenly backtracking, asking what he could do to make it right. Carol laid out her terms as his boss. Everyone has moods, but they are not to be brought to work, and he was never to be nasty to a guest or crew member again. Then she added, "In fact, it would tickle me pink to see you skipping around and hear you whistling in the hall." The following Monday, Carol arrived at the studio and saw Harvey down the hall. He gave her a big smile and then, true to his word, he took off, skipping and whistling his way towards her office. Carol doubled over with laughter. The tension was broken. So was Harvey Korman the co-star Carol never forgave? Well, yes and no. He was fired, but only for a weekend. They reconciled and remained friends. But what Carol Burnett never forgave, what she could not tolerate, was the behavior. She couldn't forgive the unprofessionalism and disrespect. She had a rule. "You can step on me 'cause I can take it, but you don't step on our guest." Harvey Korman broke that rule. She forgave the person, but she never forgot the principle. The story of The Carol Burnett Show is more than just a highlight reel of classic sketches. It's a human story. Behind the laughter, there was real-life tension. We saw how a deep friendship, like Carol and Vicki Lawrence's, could be strained by personal turmoil. We explored how Lyle Waggoner's artistic ambition led him to walk away from a hit show, and we celebrated the genius of Tim Conway, whose chaos was a treasured asset. But the most dramatic behind-the-scenes story belongs to Harvey Korman. His outburst and brief firing wasn't just celebrity drama, it was a defining moment for Carol Burnett as a leader. It showed her unwavering commitment to professionalism and respect. The story of their reconciliation, with Korman skipping down the hallway, is a testament to their ultimate bond, but the firing itself is a crucial reminder that for Carol, the show, and the people who made it, always came first. The laughter was paramount, but it could never be an excuse for hurting people. And it's that blend of comedic genius and steely integrity that truly defines her legacy.